The REDD 17 is the oldest of the consoles modeled here. It comes in mono or stereo versions. Let's take a look at the simpler mono version first. As you can see, you have separate controls for gain and output level. Gain controls the incoming signal level. On a modern console, this will be labeled trim. The output control is equivalent to the main channel fader. These work in conjunction with the 2 meters at the top. On the left is a traditional VU meter, which indicates average signal levels. And on the right is a peak meter for signal peaks, transients. Peak metering would be like the kind of metering we see, at least by default, in most DAWs. Now, obviously, one of the benefits of running signals through a virtual vintage console channel is that when you push levels a bit, you'll slightly overdrive the circuitry. In this case, the simulated tube circuitry of the modeled Siemens V72 amps, for that nice subtle analog warmth and presence, without any obvious sense of the signal being distorted. It's important to realize that, if you want that here, you'll get it from pushing the gain control rather than the output slider. Despite its slick-looking vintage graphic, the output control is not really a part of the circuit model, it's just a make-up gain control. You push the gain knob for the desired degree of analog warmth, and then restore the newly warmed-up signal to unity gain with the output fader. Now, you may want to refer to the meters, primarily the VU meter, to get a sense of how much you're overdriving the signal. By default, the VU meter is calibrated so a steady signal of -18 dBFS should register as 0 VU. This is fairly standard nowadays. Remember, a VU meter won't show transient peaks in the signal, so don't expect it to correspond to the level on the DAW's channel strip meter. That'll most likely be closer to the peak meter's value. You can recalibrate the VU by clicking on the screw if you have a track or a session full of tracks that are recorded at a lower or higher average level. Alternatively, you could trim the level of the recorded signal with whatever controls are available in the DAW. Before you start adjusting any of the controls on the REDD 17, VU levels should average somewhere between -6 and 0. That way, what you see will be a useful indicator of how hard you're pushing the virtual analog circuitry, which would be handy as you're getting used to the more subtle applications of this plugin. It's also important to note that the meters are post-output fader, so once you use the output control to trim the signal, the metering is no longer reflecting how much you're pushing the level. Instead, it's now showing the level of the signal as it exits the plugin and feeds the next plugin or the next stage. It's only a useful indicator of signal overdrive while you have the output fader set at 0. Unity gain. In addition to the gain control, there's also a drive control. This has the effect of setting the degree to which the virtual analog circuitry overdrives and distorts audibly. The default is -6 dB for a relatively clean sound. With the drive at lower settings, you should expect a subtle warmth and edge from pushing signal levels into the red on the VU meter with the gain knob. drive at higher settings, you move into the realm of distortion as effect. Playing around with the balance between the two lets you kind of fine-tune the quality of the analog edge you can get from this plugin. And it's worth spending some time experimenting with this, with different instrument and vocal tracks. I'll continue with the REDD 17 in the next chapter.